Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ulwando. I'm an event stylist, and today we are gonna talk about another topic of my list. So today I thought let's talk about the budget, why you should be asking for a budget, why people ask for a budget, and why asking for a budget is so important. Because, right, so I'll give my experience. I used to, in the beginning, I was still happy and excited to get bookings. I used to, every single person who walked in to my shop, right, inquiry, email, call, I would break my back to give that person the best service. I would go as far, I would estimate, I would price, I would even plan. Sometimes I would sketch, sometimes I send them pictures of what I can do. You know, I was still desperate for trying to secure a booking that I'll go over and above myself to really like give the client everything, so that if I give them everything, then they will book me and they won't go compare with anybody else apparently. So a little bit of that comes from desperation to try secure events, and the other part comes from the innocence of being new and being excited in wanting to just continuously book and get events and to do events. But over time it gets a bit tiring because your reach grows, you start to work harder, you realize, you know what, this is actually way more effort than it looks. You start to not have the same amount of enthusiasm for every single quote, because at this point you get to be able to gauge, but Lena, I don't think this is my type of client, because I mean everyone has a target client, and if you're not the target client at Louis Vuitton, they can see you when you walk in, the way you talk, how you walk around, the questions you're asking, your facial expressions to certain costs and things. I mean, unless you are there trying to fool them. I genuinely believe that when you see a potential customer walk in, because you've studied that person, not that petrol person, but the type of clientele you want, you're able to pick up characteristics of what this sounds like my type of client. And you then kind of, and but it gets a bit tedious and draining, the amount of time you then spend on quoting every single person that comes to your shop, and you rather now try find a way to only quote the very people who actually want your services. So every now and again, so let's say if I have an ad on Instagram, it automatically posts to Facebook, and for a good 3 weeks from the time the ad is live, because I usually have my ads for 2 weeks, so let's say for about 4 weeks of that, from the time I posted ad, I have a huge influx of people inquiring, and obviously most of them are seeing the pretty work, liking, then there's the send request, so most send the request. But now it's not every single person who likes that post who actually wants a quote from you. Some are just liking because they liked, some press the button by mistake, some press just for let's see what happens, you know, and some do press and they do want to inquire, but they're not necessarily your clientele budget wise. And then you need to get to a point, or I needed to get to a point where I couldn't possibly quote every single person who was coming for an inquiry. Like, it just physically, even there's an talk my friends were doing. Yeah, I got the fact that in the beginning I used to be like, matter why aren't people giving this type of customer service? Matter why can't they was taught to this. So I'm going to share this with you. So what I do now is I have an auto response. Okay, so this is how I filter my or rather, before we get to how I filter, let's quickly touch on this topic. This is how I do it. So I went from looking at people who were asking for quotes, and I realized that maybe they all right, so currently what I do is I have an auto response. So any new number that sends me a text via WhatsApp automatically gets a message that greets them. I introduce myself and I ask them a few specific questions that allow me to cut the back and forth, because usually a person will say hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine too. Is this Lwando Luhle, the kids party? Yes it is. How can I assist you? I'd like to inquire for a kids party. How many kids? 20 kids. How's the theme? Barbie. Where's it gonna be? Joburg. Where in Joburg? Is it a restaurant? Is it a house? It will be in my home. Where is your home? And guys, I am talking cringe-worthy back and forth. So to cut all of that, my auto response immediately asks for budget, number of kids, what type of event, where it's going to be, venue, or it's in your home, which area, because I need to know logistically how you're going to get there. If it's a mall, if it's a restaurant, I need to know. All those things factor into how many people I need to take when I'm quoting you. It also factors in things such as in transport, what type of transport, and how big of transport, how big a truck I need to use for your event. So for me, that's like my first line of defense, right? So imagine if I'm getting, let's say, 100 inquiries, right? Let's say I get 10, I get 10 inquiries a day. I cannot honestly quote 10 people, guys. That's a lot of work, and I really don't want to. So from the 10, I'm able to know already from the fact that I sent, there's an auto response now that actions or requires the client or the person inquiring to do something. If the person was never serious, akazoyenza. So that's already a layer of few people I know will not bother to answer the questions that I've asked because they're too lazy. They were just playing around. They were just interested to see if it's a real ad, if there's a real person, like, you know. And when they see the auto response, some shy away because they're like, oh shit, this is real. Then they obviously ghost me. And I'm happy. Honestly, I appreciate those people because they make my life so easy. I can see, oh, okay, they read, didn't say anything, I delete. Then if they are serious, they will then go through this next step where they actually do fill in the information. And more often than not, 99.999% of the time, they don't tell what the budget is. So I'll be nice. Thank you for the information, but I see you forgot to tell me your budget. Please advise the budget so I can assist further. You must always sound, you know, always sound ready to help. And common responses are, we don't have a budget, we don't know yet, we're waiting for you to tell us. Okay, sorry about that. Few responses that I'm likely to get are, we don't have a budget, I don't know what the budget is, I was hoping you would give me an indication of how much you charge and I would save up towards that. The other one is, which goes defensive. No, just tell me how much you charge. Okay, it's fine. Then my follow-up response would be, unfortunately, I will not be able to assist you. Either you give me the budget or an estimated budget and I see if I can give you an estimated price of what we can do according to what you want, because I always tell them I don't have packages. And then again, few responses, and now this is now another way where I'm able to, you know, cipher up Guti. And like from these few inquiries that I left now, who exactly is my client, and who do I feel I should dedicate more of my time to, and who should I try and end the conversation as quickly as possible, because I don't want to stretch into it whenever it's not going to work out for me and the person who's inquiring. It then becomes a, oh, so you think you're better than me? What does your event, what does your package include? Like, why can't you price me? I'm just asking for a price. So you get the negative responses, which again, honestly, I'm happy for a negative response because it means I can just delete and move on, and I've filtered, you know, already. I'm working with the filter, so you're already filtering through. Next, then you get the people who say, I really do not know, like I honestly do not know, I don't know how these things work. That's when I go, that's fine, I'm in no rush, take your time, go speak to the girls if it's a baby shower and there's a group, speak to hubby if it's a birthday party for Mdana and there's a joint budget that has to happen, speak to hubby. If it's you and you still want to price compare, I always tell them, I'm comfortable, you're more than happy, I'm more than happy, sorry, for you to go and compare quotes with other people. Then you can come back to me when you have an idea of how much you want to spend. And then from there, they can take it as a yes or a no. Then I have the ones who slightly push back and they tell me, but I really want to book you. And I can hear that they're really sincere. I really want to book you. I really don't know how much these things cost. I really just want to have an estimate. Then I say to that person, for me to quote you takes time. Every person gives me a different picture. So here's a picture. Every person has a different picture of what they want me to do, and it's usually a picture of the internet. For me to first understand, go through the picture, understand the requirements, then try and establish what is required from me, if there are things that I don't have and things I need to acquire. Am I acquiring this? Am I hiring this? If I'm hiring this, who am I going to hire it from? I need to call around, I need to search around. If I'm gonna buy, how much is it? Where can I buy it? And I do all of this research. I then go and I research the theme. I take my time and I go using my data. I sit for whatever time duration it is on Pinterest, on Instagram, trying to find inspiration for me to really understand. Because sometimes a person can only give you the theme, but there's no more information to that, or they just give you a picture. But I want to understand, what else can I do with this imagery? And more often than not, based on the imagery, I'm already thinking high end, because they're sending me a Pinterest, so I'm thinking here, luxury, only to find the person has not so much of a luxurious budget. Then I respond and I say, I really want to help you, but I can't. I spend a lot of considerable time and resources to build up a quote, and I cannot build up a quote just for you to come and tell me that it's not within your budget range, or it's way over what you thought parties would cost. Then we're back to where you could have just told me how much you're willing to spend. So I am not putting myself through that whole entire process of quoting a client. But obviously I say this very nicely. It doesn't come out as, you know, defensive. I said nicely, and a good client will understand, which most do. And then if they don't understand, again, it just tells me, you're not my client, you know, cipher up my inquiries, which it's fine, you're not my client. And should they say, yes, Jayla, whatever they say, or whatever negative response I get, sharp, delete. Again, what am I doing? I have sifted through, or I'm filtering through. Now from 10, we're probably left with just 3 for the day. And from those 3, I'll probably be lucky if I quote just 1. And that 1 will be the one person who honestly responded and they said to me, no, Rando, my budget is 10,000 Rand, my budget is 20,000 Rand, my budget is 5,000 Rand. And according to what they want, I can then say, all right, let me see what I can quote, because now I know, even though I see ifoto, it's something that's probably like on a 30,000 Rand level example, but your budget is 20,000 Rand, I'm able to at least see what can I do with the 20,000 to try and replicate 30,000. But I'm not going to quote you 30,000 only to find that your budget is 5,000 Rand. So Propan. And that is the method that I've been using. And Jongani, it works. It works. I now spend less time having back-to-back or back and forth conversations with clients who are not going to really become clients, or inquiries that don't become clients, and I get to my client, because that's what I want. I don't want to spend, yes, sorry, in marketing they say you need to speak to like 10 people before you get to your one sale. Yeah, I'm happy to do that, but can I not do it faster? Can I not fast forward that process? Can I not use things and put measures and boxes in place for them to tick, for me to quickly understand who is my client and give that person my attention? And I mean, people do this all the time. It's just that with events, it's not really, I don't want to say culturally, but it's not like the African thing to do, to ask someone imali no spend, you know. So I understand why most clients are very defensive, but again, my client, my type of target market, wouldn't have a problem with that. And if you're coming to inquire with me and you have a problem with answering a few questions and jumping through a few hoops before I can quote you and before I can do the work, put all the effort to quoting you just for you to blue tick me or ghost me, which is what they always do, it's fine if I'm phony, move on. Like andili, really andili. But for me, I found that it's the most efficient way, and it helps me get to the person I want to get to faster. So why do you ask the client for the budget? You want to filter if they can afford it. Guys, akondimnandi about talking to a client for 2 days only to find the person has luxury dreams on a not so luxury budget. If the client is not within my budget range, them telling me how much they're willing to spend allows me to be able to say, listen, I may not be able to assist you, but I know someone who can be able to assist you within that budget range. But if you're not going to give me the budget, I am not going to refer you to somebody else and then put that person through the whole process. Again, if you do tell me what your budget is and I don't know anyone who does work at that budget range, I am not going to refer you again to someone for a price that I wouldn't take and I expect them to take it. I don't know if I'm making sense. There are a lot of people I know who are always happy to take gigs from me that I don't necessarily want to do, whether it's because of the budget or it's short notice booking. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing it. Sometimes I'm overbooked, double booked, and for whatever reason I want to send that send that client to somebody else, so I'm referring the client. I cannot refer a client to someone for an amount that I wouldn't be happy with. So I still need the budget for me to refer you. So if you don't give me the budget, I can't refer you. The worst thing, it is honestly the worst thing when you get a client from the dream that they wanted to the reality. And I fully understand that because of the internet, people have access now to pictures, work of people across the world, and they see something nice. Some really honestly don't know, and they just need guidance. And I believe as event planners, stylists, bakers, whatever profession you're in the events field, it is our job to continuously teach clients how we price and for them to understand the value in what we do. If we do not do this, then clients will always have the thought focus that why can't I have a baby shower for 1.5 for 20 people? They don't understand. Hence I always revert back to, I don't like packages. because packages, if I say a baby shower is 20,000 Rand in a package, it may sound cheap, but if I had to break it down low package layer into itemized billing, you can find that the 20,000 Rand quote is actually the value of 28,000 Rand, the value of 22,000 Rand. But because now it's blind price, people don't really see the value of each thing that you're bringing. So when I itemize bill, I'm teaching the client to say, you are paying 150 Rand for a Louis chair for your wedding, right? If you can't afford that Louis chair, then you can alternate and maybe change over to a Wimbledon chair for 30 Rand, or a Tiffany chair for 30 Rand, or a gold trim for 90 Rand. You understand? Then the client decides how and what they want to pay for. It really is okay to ask for a budget. There's nothing rude about it. You merely want to ascertain if the person is within range. There is no need to feel guilty about it. Obviously, over time, you will get the confidence. I didn't just wake up one day and start asking clients for budget. But through ufunda and experience, realize that the quicker I get to the client, or seriously, whatever means, ndizoyenza. And nalapho, should a person not have the ideal budget, you don't just write them off. I always ask, is there room for your budget to increase? Because yes, your budget is 5,000 Rand, but what you want is 8,000 Rand. Are you comfortable? Is there a way? Do you want to think about it? Do you want to consult with the friends, with the boyfriend, with the husband, or do you want, you have options. Then you come back to me when you feel comfortable and you let me know what's in Rwanda. I managed to raise to 7K. What can you do with 7,000 Rand? When I get, that is my client. That is my dream. You understand? That's what I want. A client who then comes back and they understand what, yay, there's value in this girl. And sometimes I do get people who blue tick me, then they come back and they text me and they think balibele, but obviously the text from before, I'll see what I wanted a conversation with this person, and if I've saved your number, I can see what when yes, you're texting me like you don't know me, but if I've saved your number, it means you've spoken before. And if this time you book me, then I know for a fact it means you went around and you saw what Yazini, it is expensive, and what she's charging me is a decent and fair amount for what I'm asking. And what? I will pay her. Why? Because she was nice to me. I didn't look down on her. I educated her about pricing. I didn't rush her. I didn't pressurize her. I didn't make her feel bad. I gave her the time to go and think about it, and then she comes back to me and she can say, okay, they don't say, well, most don't say, listen, I went to that, compare prices, I really rise. They just come back inquiring like new clients, and I pretend along because it's business, and I deliver and we're happy. I guess the most important thing to note as we end this chat about why you should ask for a budget, should you ask for the budget, and why you should be asking a budget, is the fact that it always boils down to educating the client, and always referring to the fact, which is what I always do, that when a serious person inquires with me and a budget, no matter how much that budget is, it is someone's hard-earned money. Yeah, it is someone's savings. It's all that they could place, it's all they could set aside, and the intentions were to do something pretty for themselves, for their child, or for a sister, or for someone that they loved. So the way I respond to people who do not necessarily fit my quote-unquote budget range is to always be respectful and be mindful of that. They may not be my client today. Doesn't mean tomorrow akazovuka abe client yam. Doesn't mean they don't know other people who could be my clients. Doesn't mean they will not leave the conversation either speaking highly of me, which does happen, where a person will say, yo, I really understand why it's so expensive. Actually, it's not even expensive, it's what you're charging because your work is good, and I understand. Sadly, I really cannot increase my budget, but hopefully one day. And I've had a lot of hopefully one days who come back to me and I book them. So I'm very, very, very respectful of each person who does inquire with me. And serious, not abaya, but serious to inquire with me, to say that even though our name that is enough to do what you want, perhaps we can do something else, because I do share alternative offers that I can provide if the budget allows. But sometimes if the budget doesn't allow, then I say I'm quads. But how I treat the person, how I talk to the person, how I make the person feel is very important, because you don't want anyone to walk away from your business feeling inadequate or less than just because they couldn't afford a price you charge. So in your journey in growing your businesses, as you charge more, as you grow more, please don't ever lose your sense of people when you speak to your clients. I think that's enough serious talk now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll end it off here, and please do comment, guys. Let me know if you are enjoying this. Let me know if these are helping you. If there are topics you'd like me to cover, also you're more than welcome to comment in this comment section down below, and I will do the right thing. Until then, I love you so much. Please do not forget to subscribe,